What's going on, folks? It's RGT85. I hope you're having a great day. I've got some video game news I want to talk about. Surprise, surprise. Couple stories going on that I definitely want to cover. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers, and I want to hit it this year. But without any further ado, let's talk.
See if the dogs want to come back in.
What is happening in the world of video games? We're going to start things off with the PlayStation VR 2. Now, this was released to the mass market actually yesterday. I ended up getting my hands on one. And for the most part, it's kind of crazy. You know, I'm not the biggest VR guy in the world. I know I joke that I'm really into VR. I do have an Oculus Quest 2 that I think is pretty cool. I've enjoyed games on that. But PlayStation VR 2 just feels like something completely different. You know, it feels like it's in another tier, an upper echelon of things like VR technology. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, RGT, are you going to be doing a review on the PlayStation VR 2? And I'm not quite sure, honestly, just because of the fact that it seems like there's not a whole lot of interest in the PlayStation VR 2 because of the fact that it's expensive as hell. Like, let's be realistic here. And of course, you have the entry price of having to own a PlayStation 5 in order just to experience this. We're talking over $1,000 in order to get the PlayStation VR 2 experience. And for a lot of people, you know, that's just unrealistic. Obviously, this is something I'm doing for the channel. It's something I do for work, so I have to have some thoughts and impressions on it. But as a general consumer, I'm not quite sure that it would be, you know, that attractive to buy on day one, especially with the launch lineup of titles. I have played a couple games. I played the Horizon game and Star Wars game. Fine titles, you know, they're pretty fun, and definitely I feel the Horizon game is a visual showcase and sort of a masterpiece for the system, but I don't feel like, you know, they're killer apps. However, Gran Turismo 7 is on another level. That absolutely blew my freaking mind. I was in another world. Like my brain could not process what was happening, and I was like, I'm gonna faint, I'm gonna pass out, I'm gonna throw up, and I was like, no, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna stick with it and I'm gonna enjoy it. And it took me about 4 or 5 minutes, but once I did, that's on another level. That is on another level. So the technology is definitely there. But it seems like the technology actually has some problems, and this is something I ran into intermittently. It seemed like it fixed itself at some point in time, but not via any update, and that is with the controller. So when you get this system, you of course get the 2 controllers for your hand. First and foremost, they do not come with a charge on them, which I found to be absolutely ridiculous. You actually have to charge them, syncing up not with the hardware of the PlayStation 5, but with games, because this is something that I noticed, like in Horizon, when you're setting up your things, there's a point where they tell you to press a button on the right controller, and I was pressing it, and no matter what I was doing, it was like, hold the button, so I'd hold the button, and it would not react. So I thought, well, maybe there's a problem with the controller, but when you hit the home button, it does go back to the main screen. I also noticed that with Star Wars as well. So I did a couple system reboots. Now, there was no updates that were done during these system reboots, but it definitely seemed to help because, well, then after about 3 reboots, I was able to play the games and everything was being registered the way it should be inside of the game. And it seems like there's a Reddit thread about this as well. I know Spawnwave was having some issues with this as well. I don't know the cause of it or anything, but obviously there needs to be some sort of update. There needs to be some sort of, you know, fix to this controller issue, because if you can't control the games, it really detracts from the experience, because I mean, you just have like a $500 and $50 paperweight. Like, let's be real here. But I do think the technology is very impressive. I don't know. Shout out in the comment section down below if you want me to like do a full
Don't
review
move
of
the
it. Maybe I
stand.
could have something up this weekend. Like I said, Gran Turismo said when you're in the, I have a steering wheel and a cockpit, like insane. It's the most next generation experience I've had, but there's definitely some hiccups with this system, and the weak launch lineup is kind of a bit, concerning, I feel. But the controller issue, that's something that's got to be fixed now. And finally, a couple days ago, maybe a week or so ago, we of course talked about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom because it's a big Zelda game that's coming out. Everyone loves Zelda, and if you don't love Zelda, that's cool. I respect you. That's fine. Not every game franchise is for everyone. Stop being an elitist. But with this, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And one of the things that we talked about was the Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch OLED model that has leaked. Now, we've pretty much come to the conclusion that this is a real thing. Of course, we have the whole, little insignias on the Switch OLED model that nobody knew about until, of course, we saw the Collector's Edition, where the Collector's Edition art book actually leaked, and we learned more about the game. There's videos about all this stuff on the channel. If you're not caught up, make sure you watch those videos. I keep it pretty spoiler-free, so don't worry about it. I'm not here to ruin your gameplay experience or your life. However, we of course talked about the release date of this system because it seemed like, there was something happening on March 10th. And in retrospect, I should have realized this. It's kind of a very nearsighted thing. I didn't put two and two together, but looking back on it, hindsight is of course 2020. And we pretty much knew what this was the whole time. There's a new listing for a new Nintendo Switch model in GameStop's database that's happening on March 10th. So the thought process was, well, this is going to be the Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED. They'll probably have a presentation. Yeah, it's a little bit early to start taking orders for this thing, but I guess that's the date. But it seems like it's not. Because Nintendo has another franchise that has things happening, and while it might not be happening on the video game side of things, it's definitely happening on the film side of things, and that is, of course, Mario. And when you think about March 10th, it spells Mario, because you got the Mar 10. I'm not a huge fan of this thing. I think it's ridiculous. Like, people with their milk, get the Mario milk. It's like, yeah, you should drink it in June. See how it makes you feel, because it says Mar 10, and it says Mario. But Nintendo seems to be doing something else with the Switch OLED because it looks like this is what they're doing. So this is a premiere new release preview from some Twitter guy. This is obviously the information, the advertisement that they have eradicated here. A new Nintendo Switch bundle will be launched in Europe, including a Switch console, Red, a 2022 version, probably meaning an OLED, Super Mario Odyssey game, digital code, and something related to the upcoming Super Mario movie. Comes out on March 10th, and there's the price in French. What do they use? Francs there? Euros? I don't know. I don't know my French currency. Oui, merci beaucoup. Don't cancel me for saying that. But here's the thing. This makes perfect sense. And it makes perfect sense in the fact that, it's March 10th. It's Mario. And